Hello, year 5 and 6. How is everyone doing? Last week you did a song about silver linings, and I've received a lot of songs, and they're absolutely awesome. They're really, really good. They really, really impressed me. I look forward to showing some of them in the Friday feedback show. Very, very impressed. So this week we're still carrying on with silver linings, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth about CO2 emissions. I've got a PowerPoint for you, and as you go through the PowerPoint, it's going to explain a little bit more what CO2 emissions are. Now, I thought I would help you out in a video as well. Why not? Now, the silver lining for this lockdown at the moment is that we're producing less CO2 emissions. We're producing less carbon dioxide because there's less traffic and there's less people using energy. So we're going to go back to 1850. Now, before 1850, human activity did not produce that much CO2. We did not have that much CO2 emissions. After 1850, when the Industrial Revolution came around, we started to produce more and more CO2. And that's because we started building factories. We started burning lots of fossil fuels like coal and oils to produce energy that we still use today, like electricity. We started building big cities. So we used to have lots and lots of farms, which we still have farms today, but we used to have lots more farms and villages. But now we have lots and lots of cities. And in order to do that, we had to cut down lots of trees and plants. Now, trees and plants are actually amazing because they absorb CO2. They absorb all that CO2 that we produce, and then they produce oxygen, which is amazing, absolutely fantastic. But the more trees we cut down, the more CO2 emissions we produce. Now, if you look through the PowerPoint, you can see a graph where it starts at 1850 and ends around now. And you can see how much CO2 emissions we have gradually started to produce. And on the y-axis, you can see it's produced in metric tons. Now, a ton is 1,000 kilograms. And 1,000 kilograms is also the same weight as a polar bear. So, it's not just done in tons, it's done in millions of tons. So, in 1850, we produced probably maybe 100 million tons as a world. Now, as a world, we produce over 8,000, maybe close to 9,000 million tons of CO2. That's quite a lot. Now, the silver lining that we're having at the moment is we are producing less and less CO2 because we have to stay in our houses at the moment, and we're not using cars as often. We're not using planes as often. We're using less energy, which is amazing. But we're just going to have a little thought of what energy we use on a daily basis. So I'm going to think about what energy I use on a daily basis. I wake up to an alarm on my phone. In order for my phone to work, it needs to be charged. And I need to use electricity to charge my phone. So I'm using energy there. Next thing I do is I have a shower. I'm using energy because the shower obviously needs to work, and it also needs to be warm. So we use gas to heat up the shower. The next thing I do is I have toast for breakfast. I need to use a toaster, which is using electricity. Next thing I do is have a glass of orange juice. Now, orange juice is not just made. We get the oranges from Spain. And if you think they're picked in Spain, lots and lots of oranges are picked in Spain. They go on a lorry all the way to England using lots of fuel. To produce orange juice doesn't go straight to the supermarket, it then goes to a factory. Then they make the orange juice. Then they have to put them in cartons. Then they get back into a lorry and then get shipped to all of the supermarkets. That's a lot of energy just so I could have a glass of orange juice. Now, all the energy that you use on a daily basis, that's called your carbon footprint. So it's the amount of carbon you produce through your daily activities. So remember that, carbon footprint. Now, the rest of the slides, for the first activity, what I'd like you to do is I've done lots of research, and I've worked out how much energy we use in kilograms, so CO2 in kilograms, when we do these daily activities. So for a shower, I've worked out per minute how much energy we use. So if you have a 15-minute shower, on average you use 3 kilograms of CO2 emissions. It's quite a lot. Next thing I've worked out is if you drive, as in, well, not you guys, obviously you're too young, but if you get in a car on a daily basis, driving to places, I've worked out how much energy the car uses per mile. I've also worked out the television. I've worked out how much energy you use for the television. Now, for the activity 1, I've done lots of tables. I've done 3 different tables. And with those 3 different tables, I'd like you to plot them on a graph. So, and I'd like you to do a line graph, where you've got the y-axis and the x-axis. The y-axis, I want you to put the CO2 in kilograms, and the x-axis, so going across, I want you to do the time for the shower, the distance for the car, and also the time it takes to watch the television. We've got a second activity. This is quite a fun activity. Now, I worked out per week how much energy I use for a school week. And I'm imagining that I'm actually going to school, okay? Now, I've worked out before, and I want to make some changes. So, decided next time I go to school, I'm going to make these changes. And I want you to work out how much energy I save Monday to Friday. Sounds like a good idea? Excellent. I've got one more activity. One more activity for you. Now, this is an optional one. You do not have to do it, but it could be quite fun. Now, we use this thing called, you can offset your carbon footprint. Now, earlier in the video, I spoke about plants and trees absorb carbon dioxide and produce oxygen. Now, if we plant more plants and trees, we offset the carbon dioxide we use on a daily basis. So, as you know, I like chili sauce, and I like chilies. Now, I get my chilies from the supermarket, and I've realised my chilies are from Spain. So they're grown in Spain, just like the orange juice, and they're shipped over. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to cut out the middleman, and I'm going to grow my own chilies. And so I can keep growing my own chilies forever, as long as I keep watering them. So my challenge for you, is, if you'd like to, grow a plant. Grow anything you like. And I'd like to see some pictures. Now, I've started growing some chilies. I found a very, very hot chili. It does take a while to grow. Okay, this is an extra hot chili. Extra hot chili. And as you can see, I started growing it. That's very small. That's taken me 2 weeks just for this to grow. I'm so proud of it. It's very, very exciting. So if you'd like to do that, do that. But remember, it is absolutely optional. If you have any trouble with these activities, please give me a message and I'll help you as much as I can. This is using a little bit of maths because we're doing graphs and it's good fun. Now, if you have a ruler, it's a lot easier to use a ruler. If you don't worry. Try your best using freehand. Okay, well, I hope you enjoy this little project, and I look forward to having them back and having a look at what you've done.